The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched before Ambassador Sarah Chen, like a cathedral made of light and metal. Hundreds of alien species filled the floating seats that circled the massive room. Some breathed oxygen like humans. Others existed in sealed environment pods filled with gas or liquid. The air hummed with translation devices converting thousands of languages into coherent sound. Chen walked forward with steady steps. Her small team of 5 humans followed behind her. They wore simple blue uniforms with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. Around them, aliens whispered and pointed. Some had scales. Others had fur or skin that glowed. A few looked almost human, while others seemed like living crystals or clouds of organized particles. The Krell representative sat in the highest seat. Admiral Thexmore was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with gray armored skin and 4 arms. His species had controlled this part of the galaxy for 2,000 years. He looked down at the humans with eyes that showed no warmth. "So," Thexmore's voice boomed through the chamber, "the children from Sol's system finally arrive. We received your application to join our council. We have reviewed your credentials." Chen stopped at the center of the room. A holographic display appeared above her head. It showed Earth, a blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. The display expanded to show the solar system with its planets, moons, and asteroid belt. "Humanity comes seeking peaceful relations," Chen said. Her voice was calm and clear. "We have achieved faster than light travel. We have established colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. We offer our knowledge, our culture, and our friendship." A ripple of what might have been laughter moved through the chamber. A slug-like creature from the lower seat spoke up. "One star system, just one? Most species control at least 20 systems before they dare approach the council." Chen nodded. "We are young compared to you. We achieved FTL capability only 237 years ago. We have focused on developing our home system." Thexmore leaned forward. His chair moved closer to the center on invisible rails. "Tell us about your military capabilities. All species must contribute to Council defense forces. What can Earth offer?" The holographic display changed. It now showed ships moving through space, sleek vessels with names written on their hulls. The count at the bottom of the display read 47 ships. "The Sol Defense Fleet," Chen explained, "our primary military force. 47 capital ships ranging from destroyers to dreadnoughts. They patrol our system and protect our trade routes." The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then more laughter echoed from the seats. A bird-like alien with bright feathers clicked its beak. 47 ships? Our courier service has more vessels than that." Thexmore raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "Let me understand this correctly. Your entire military consists of 47 ships, and you wish to join a council that faces threats from the dark zones, from pirate armadas, from the consuming swarm at the galaxy's edge?" Chen met his gaze without flinching. "The Sol Defense Fleet is what we have documented for your review. It represents our commitment to defending our interests." "Documented," Thexmore repeated. He typed something on a console built into his chair. "Yes, here it is. Very thorough documentation. Ship names, classifications, crew complements, weapon systems. Very complete." Another council member spoke up. "This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of blue light." "The problem is simple, humans. The council requires all members to contribute to collective security. Your 47 ships are insufficient. However, we are not without mercy for young species." Thexmore smiled. The expression looked wrong on his face, showing too many teeth. "Indeed, we offer you protection. In exchange, Earth will pay tribute. Let us say, 30% of your annual refined metals production. Also, you will grant Council corporations mining rights to your outer system. The gas giants, the asteroid belt, those frozen rocks beyond Neptune." Chen's expression did not change. "You want us to pay you to join your organization? And give away our resources? Think of it as insurance," Thexmore said. "The galaxy is dangerous. Without Council protection, a young species like yours might encounter difficulties. Pirates, raiders, perhaps even aggressive neighbors who see an undefended system as an opportunity." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Other council members nodded or made sounds of agreement. This was clearly standard practice for them. Chen glanced at her team. Her second-in-command, Commander Park, stood with his hands behind his back. His face showed nothing. The other 3 humans looked equally calm. "I will need to consult with my government," Chen said. This is a significant decision. Thexmore waved a hand dismissively. Of course, of course. Take your time. Shall we say 72 hours? That should be enough for messages to travel to Earth and back, yes? We are very generous with time. 72 hours, Chen agreed. We will provide our answer then. The Krell Admiral leaned back in his seat. I look forward to your response. I am certain you will see reason. After all, what choice does a species with only 47 ships have when faced with the realities of galactic politics? Chen bowed slightly. It was a gesture of respect, nothing more. Thank you for your time, honored council members. We will speak again in 3 days. The humans turned and walked toward the exit. The chamber filled with conversation behind them. Aliens discussed the audacity of humans thinking they could negotiate. Some placed bets on whether Earth would accept the terms or try to bargain for better conditions. A few expressed pity for the naive newcomers. As the massive doors closed behind the human delegation, they walked down a long corridor carved from purple crystal. Their footsteps echoed. No one spoke until they reached their ship docked at the station's diplomatic port. Inside the ship, secure from any listening devices, Commander Park finally spoke. They think we're helpless. Chen sat in the captain's chair. She looked tired suddenly, as if she had been holding tension in her body and could finally release it. They think they know everything about us. They looked at our documentation and saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Will the council accept your request for time? Asked Lieutenant Morrison, their communications officer. They will, Chen said. They're arrogant. Thexmore especially. He thinks this is already decided. He thinks we're going to scramble back to Earth and beg our government to accept his terms. Park smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Should I send the message? Chen nodded. Send it. Full encryption. Priority Alpha. Morrison's fingers moved across the console. A tight beam transmission shot away from the ship, heading toward the Sol system at faster-than-light speeds. The message was short. Only 5 words, but they would change everything. Message sent, Morrison confirmed. They'll receive it in 6 hours. Chen stood and walked to the window. Outside, the council station sparkled with lights from 1,000 docked ships. Species from across the galaxy conducted business, made deals, formed alliances. It was beautiful in its way. So many different forms of life all working together. Do you think they'll try to force the issue? Park asked quietly. Probably, Chen said. Thexmore's type always does. They see weakness and they push. They think 47 ships means we're defenseless. They think we're desperate to join their club, and we're not. Chen turned from the window. Her expression was neutral again, diplomatic. We came here hoping for peace. We came hoping to find friends among the stars, but we didn't come unprepared for the alternative. Park nodded. He had seen the same files Chen had seen. He knew what waited back home. He knew what the council didn't know. 3 days, Chen said. In 3 days, they'll get their answer. One way or another, the Galactic Council is about to learn something important about humanity. What's that? Morrison asked. Chen smiled. This time the expression was genuine. That we're very good at keeping secrets. 6 weeks had passed since Ambassador Chen's request for time. The answer from Earth had been clear and simple, no tribute. No mining rights. No surrender of sovereignty. The Galactic Council had been shocked. Some members expressed admiration for human courage. Most thought humans were simply stupid. Admiral Thexmore felt insulted. No species had ever refused council protection before. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the crushing Victory, and stared at the viewport showing the swirling colors of FTL travel. Around his ship, 217 other Krell vessels traveled in formation, 3 full battle groups. It was massive overkill for dealing with 47 human ships. Overkill sends a message, Thexmore had told his officers. When we destroy their pathetic fleet, every species in the galaxy will know what happens to those who defy the Krell hegemony. The fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Sol system. Stars appeared in the viewport, and at the center, a yellow sun that humans called Sol. Thexmore's sensors immediately began scanning. Contact, his sensor officer reported. Human vessels detected, counting 47 ships in defensive formation, 30 million kilometers from our position. Thexmore laughed. They actually brought their entire fleet to face us. Admirable stupidity. Open a channel. The view screen flickered. A human face appeared. The man wore a dark uniform with stars on his collar. His hair was gray and his eyes were hard. I am Admiral Kawasaki of the Human Defense Forces, the man said. You are trespassing in sovereign human space. Withdraw immediately. Thexmore leaned forward. I am Admiral Thexmore of the Krell hegemony. Your government has refused council protection. This is unacceptable. You will stand down and prepare to be boarded. Your fleet will be confiscated and your government will be placed under council administration. Kawasaki's expression did not change. You have 10 minutes to turn your ships around and leave our system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war. An act of war? Thexmore could not believe what he was hearing. Look at your sensors, human. We have 218 ships. You have 47. Even if your vessels match ours in capability, which I doubt, you are outnumbered more than 4-1. You cannot win this fight. 9 minutes, Kawasaki said calmly. Thexmore cut the connection. Arrogant fools. All ships advance to attack formation. When we get in range, target their command ships first. I want their admiral to watch his fleet die before we destroy his flagship. The Krell armada began moving forward. Their ships were massive, built for intimidation as much as combat. Some were 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons. The human ships looked small by comparison. Sleek and fast, but clearly outgunned. The 10 minutes expired. No surrender came from the humans. Weapons range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer announced. Fire when ready, Thexmore ordered. Let's end this quickly. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Missiles streaked across the void. Energy beams lanced out. The humans fired back immediately, their weapons showing surprising accuracy. The first exchange surprised Thexmore. 3 of his ships took heavy damage. 2 human vessels were destroyed. But the others scattered with incredible coordination, moving like a school of fish rather than individual ships. They're using networked combat AI, his tactical officer said with surprise. Their ships fight as one organism. Concentrate fire, Thexmore ordered. Overwhelm their defenses with numbers. The battle intensified. More human ships exploded. But the Krell were taking losses too. The humans fought with a ferocity that shocked the Krell crews. Every shot was precise. Every maneuver was calculated. They were clearly outnumbered, but they refused to break formation or retreat. 20 minutes into the battle, Thexmore had lost 15 ships. The humans were down to 33. The mathematics were still in his favor, but the cost was higher than expected. Bring in the reserve group, he ordered. Another 60 ships. Let's finish this. The reserve group began moving forward from their position at the rear of the formation. That's when everything changed, Admiral. The sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. New contacts. Multiple new contacts emerging from the asteroid belt. Thexmore spun to look at the tactical display. Red dots appeared on the screen. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Source? He demanded. They're coming from everywhere, sir. The asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, Mars orbit, Earth's moon, Jupiter's moons. Admiral, I'm reading massive energy signatures from what we classified as mining stations and civilian platforms. The red dots kept multiplying on the screen. The sensor officer's hands shook as he worked his console. Total count? Thexmore's voice was quiet now. 2,847 additional signatures, sir. All broadcasting human military identification codes. The bridge fell silent. Every Krell officer stared at the display in disbelief. The space around them was filling with human ships. They came from hiding spots throughout the solar system. Weapons hot, engines burning bright. Thexmore's second-in-command spoke in a whisper. The Sol Defense Fleet wasn't their navy. It was just the greeting committee. A new voice came over the communication channel. Admiral Kawasaki again, but this time his face showed something that might have been sympathy. You were warned, Admiral Thexmore. You chose not to listen. The Sol Defense Fleet is exactly what we told your council it was. Our primary fleet, tasked with initial contact and defense coordination. But did you really think we would document our entire military capability for strangers? Did you think we would hand you a complete inventory of our defenses? More human ships kept appearing. The tactical display was almost solid red now. Thexmore realized with growing horror that his formation was surrounded. Every asteroid mining facility, Kawasaki continued, every research station, every transport hub, all dual-purpose installations. We've had 200 years to fortify this system, 200 years to prepare for this exact scenario. First contact with a hostile force. Fall back, Thexmore ordered. All ships fall back to the jump point. But the humans were already moving. Their newly revealed ships formed a sphere around the Krell fleet. Some were small like fighters, others were massive, larger than anything the Krell had brought. They moved with the same coordinated precision as the original 47 ships. "Admiral, we're receiving weapons lock warnings from over 1,000 enemy vessels," the tactical officer reported. "They have firing solutions on every ship in our fleet." Thexmore watched as his advantage evaporated. He had come here with overwhelming force. Now he was trapped in the heart of enemy territory, outnumbered more than 10 to 1. "Admiral Kawasaki," Thexmore said, opening the channel again. "I request a ceasefire. We will withdraw from your system." "You came here to destroy us," Kawasaki replied. "You brought enough ships to glass our planets. And you did it because you thought we were weak. Because you saw 47 ships and assumed that was all we had." "It was a misunderstanding," Thexmore said. "The words tasted like poison, was it?" Kawasaki's voice was cold. "Or was it the standard Krell practice of bullying smaller species into submission? Did you think we wouldn't prepare for this possibility? Did you think we wouldn't expect someone exactly like you to come knocking with threats and demands?" The human ships began moving closer. The sphere tightened. "All Krell vessels, you have two choices," Kawasaki announced. "You can surrender your ships and be taken as prisoners of war, or you can try to fight your way out. Choose now." Thexmore looked at his tactical display. There was no escape. If they fought, they would all die. The humans had them completely contained. "We surrender," Thexmore said. Each word felt like a knife in his pride. "Wise choice," Kawasaki said. "You will proceed to Mars orbit under escort. Your weapons will be powered down. Any vessel that attempts to activate weapons or jump drives will be destroyed immediately. Do you understand these terms?" "Yes," Thexmore whispered. "Good. One more thing, Admiral. When you get back to your council, tell them what you saw here. Tell them that the Sol Defense Fleet was our greeting party. Tell them we have 47 fleets, not 47 ships. Tell them that humanity came seeking peace, but we prepared for war. Tell them we don't bluff, the channel closed." Krell ships began moving toward Mars under the watchful eyes of thousands of human vessels. Thexmore sat in his command chair, feeling the weight of total defeat. His second-in-command approached quietly. "Sir, Intelligence is analyzing the human communications we intercepted during the battle. They're finding references to Third Fleet, home guard sectors, something called the perimeter. Sir, this isn't even their full military. This is just what guards their home system." Thexmore closed his eyes. He had made a terrible mistake. He had seen humans as prey. He had been so very wrong. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other. Translation devices struggled to keep up with the flood of languages. The chamber that had been so orderly during humanity's first visit now looked like a riot was about to break out. Admiral Thexmore stood in the center of the chamber, looking smaller than before. His forearms hung at his sides. His armor looked dull. The proud Krell admiral who had left to teach humans a lesson had returned with only 23 ships out of 218. "Explain this disaster," demanded the Verdant Accord representative, Ambassador Liss. Her species looked like walking plants with vines for arms and flowers blooming from her head. "You took 3 battle groups to deal with 47 ships. How did you lose almost your entire force?" "They lied," Thexmore said simply. "The humans lied about their military strength." "Impossible," said the crystal being from the Luminous Collective. "We reviewed their documentation. Everything was verified. 47 ships complete with names, classifications, crew manifests. Everything they told us was true," Thexmore said bitterly. "The Sol Defense Fleet is exactly 47 ships. They just never said it was their only fleet." A holographic display appeared above the center of the chamber. It showed the battle recorded from Krell ship sensors. The council members watched in silence as human ships appeared from everywhere. Hundreds, then thousands. The display showed the final count. 2,847 vessels. "By the void," someone whispered. A small furry creature from the lower seats spoke up. "Perhaps they mobilized reserves when they detected your fleet." "Built ships quickly?" Thexmore shook his head. "Our intelligence analyzed everything. Those weren't new ships. They were already there, hidden throughout their system. Every asteroid we scanned as a mining facility was actually a military base. Every gas giant research station was a weapons platform. They've been fortifying their system for decades. Maybe longer." Ambassador Chen appeared in the chamber. She walked through the main doors as if she owned the place. Her small team followed behind her. This time the aliens did not whisper or point. They stared in silence, seeing humans with new eyes. Chen stopped at the center. She looked up at Thexmore. "Admiral, I see you made it back safely. I'm glad. Admiral Kawasaki could have destroyed your entire fleet. He chose mercy instead." "Mercy?" Thexmore repeated. "You humiliated us. You attacked us," Chen replied calmly. "You brought enough ships to destroy our worlds. You came to enslave us, and you're upset that we defended ourselves." Liz leaned forward in her seat. "Ambassador Chen, the Council requires clarification. How many military vessels does humanity actually possess?" Chen smiled. "That's classified information. But I can tell you this much. The Seoul Defense Fleet is our primary contact and coordination force. We have 47 such fleets, one for each sector of human space. That's approximately 135,000 capital ships, not counting support vessels, fighters, or defense platforms." The chamber erupted. Some aliens made sounds of disbelief. Others began calculations on their consoles. A few simply sat in stunned silence. "Impossible," the crystal being said again. "You claim to control only one star system. How could you maintain such a force?" "Who said we only control one system?" Chen asked. Her smile grew wider. "We said we have colonies in the Sol system. We never said what else we might have." A bird-like alien stood up, feathers ruffling with agitation. "This is deception, trickery. You came here under false pretenses." "We came here with hope," Chen corrected. "Hope for peaceful relations. We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see. The fact that you assumed we were weak is your mistake, not ours." Another hologram appeared, this one showing deep space. Points of light marked various locations throughout Council space. There were hundreds of them. "Our intelligence discovered something disturbing," said the representative from the Unified Trade Alliance. "These markers represent sensor probes. Human sensor probes. They're everywhere, throughout Council space. Some have been there for decades." Chen did not deny it. "We detected your civilization 80 years ago. We've been observing you since then, learning your languages, studying your culture, watching how you treat younger species. Spying," Thexmore growled. "Being careful," Chen said. "We had no idea if you would be friends or enemies. So we prepared for both possibilities. We sent out probes. We gathered intelligence. And yes, we weaponized our entire solar system because we didn't know what we might face when we finally made contact." Liz spoke again, her voice thoughtful. "You came to us prepared for war, hoping for peace. That's actually quite reasonable given the unknowns of first contact." "It's paranoid," the crystal being argued. "It's human," Chen replied. "Do you want to know about Earth? About where we come from? Our world is beautiful, but it's also dangerous. We evolved as prey animals who became hunters. For millions of years we fought everything. Other predators. Each other. Our own environment. When we finally reached space, we brought that history with us." She gestured and another hologram appeared. This one showed Earth's history, wars, so many wars. The images flashed past. Ancient battles with swords and spears. Medieval conflicts. World wars with terrible weapons. Nuclear fire. "We almost destroyed ourselves a dozen times," Chen continued. "We learned hard lessons about the cost of being unprepared. About what happens when you assume others come in peace. So when we developed faster-than-light travel, we made a decision. We would hope for the best but prepare for the worst." "You prepared for 200 years, Liz said softly. 2 centuries of military buildup. That's remarkable dedication." "We call it the paranoid century," Chen admitted. "Though it ended up being 2 centuries, not 1. Some people thought it was wasteful. Why build all those ships when we might never need them? But others argued that the moment we stopped preparing was the moment we would encounter someone like the Krell." Thexmore's face hardened. "Someone like me? You mean aggressive species who enforce their will through military might?" "Yes," Chen said simply. "We studied your history too, Admiral. The Krell hegemony expands through intimidation. You offer protection that's really extortion. You demand tribute from species too weak to resist. That's your pattern. It's galactic politics," the Unified Trade Alliance representative said defensively. "Strong species protect weak ones. In return, the weak contribute resources. It's how the Council maintains stability." "It's exploitation," Chen corrected. "And it's exactly what we prepared to resist." When Admiral Thexmore arrived with his fleet, everything we feared was confirmed. The galaxy wasn't a friendly place after all. It was exactly as dangerous as we imagined. She turned to face the entire council. Her voice carried across the chamber. Humanity came to you honestly. We provided accurate documentation of the Sol Defense Fleet. We offered friendship. We requested membership in your council as equals. And what did you do? You demanded tribute. You tried to take our resources. And when we refused, you sent warships to force our compliance. You still deceived us, someone argued weakly. We protected ourselves, Chen said. There's a difference. We never lied. We simply didn't tell you everything. Just like I'm certain every species in this chamber has secrets they didn't share with strangers at first contact. Silence fell. No one could argue with that. Liz stood up slowly. Ambassador Chen, what does humanity want now? You've proven your military strength. You could probably conquer half the council if you wanted. What are your intentions? Chen took a deep breath. We want what we always wanted. Peace, partnership, friends among the stars. We don't want your territory. We don't want to rule over you. We just want to be treated as equals. Equals. Thexmore laughed bitterly. You have more military power than the entire Krell hegemony. More than most of the council combined. You're not our equals. You're our superiors. No, Chen said firmly. We're equals. Power doesn't determine worth. Every species here has something valuable to offer. Knowledge, art, philosophy, different perspectives on existence. That's what we hope to find. That's still what we want. But you'll defend yourselves if attacked, Liz said. Absolutely, Chen confirmed. We prepared for war so we could have peace. That might seem contradictory, but it's very human. We don't want to fight, but we will if we must. The council chamber fell into discussion. Groups formed as representatives talked among themselves. Some were clearly frightened of humanity's power. Others were intrigued. A few were angry. Chen waited patiently. She had said what needed to be said. Now the council had to decide what kind of relationship they wanted with humanity. Dexmore approached her slowly. He stood over her, using his height to intimidate. But Chen had faced his entire fleet. One admiral didn't scare her anymore. This isn't over, Dexmore said quietly. The Krell hegemony will not accept this humiliation. Chen met his eyes without fear. Then the Krell hegemony is about to learn another human lesson. We don't start fights, but we finish them. The admiral walked away, back toward his seat. Chen watched him go, and she felt something cold settle in her stomach. Peace might still be possible with most of the council. But the Krell weren't done yet. The war hadn't really started. It had only paused. The intelligence report landed on every council member's desk, 3 days after Chen's revelation. It was thick with data, compiled from multiple sources: human communications intercepts, sensor readings, historical databases. The picture it painted was both fascinating and terrifying. Ambassador Liss read through the report in her private quarters. Her species experienced thought through chemical reactions, so understanding took time. But the more she read, the more she understood why humans had prepared so thoroughly for war. The report showed Earth in detail. A world where almost everything was trying to kill almost everything else. Predators hunted prey. Prey evolved defenses. Then predators evolved countermeasures. Back and forth for millions of years. And somewhere in that violent dance, humans appeared. They started as prey animals. Small, weak, without claws or venom. They survived by being smart. By working together. By making tools and weapons. Eventually, they became the dominant predator on their entire planet. Not through strength, but through intelligence and cooperation. But becoming the top predator didn't stop the violence. Humans fought each other. Tribes against tribes. Nations against nations. They invented increasingly terrible weapons. Swords, guns, bombs. Finally, nuclear weapons capable of destroying their entire civilization. They almost ended themselves, Liss whispered, reading about something humans called World War III. A conflict that nearly turned Earth into a radioactive wasteland. They came so close to extinction. The report detailed what happened after. Humans united, but slowly. They reached their moon. Then Mars. They developed fusion power, then antimatter containment. And then, 237 years ago, they cracked faster than light travel. That's when everything changed. The report included intercepted documents from something called the Human Defense Initiative, a proposal written just after FTL was achieved. The logic was simple and terrifying. If humans exist, other intelligent species probably exist too. Those species might be friendly, but they might not be. Therefore, humanity needed to prepare. The paranoid century begins, the document stated. We will fortify our home system. We will build fleets. We will turn every rock into a weapons platform. We will be ready. And they did exactly that. Liz saw the numbers. For 200 years, humanity devoted enormous resources to military preparation, not because they were at war, but because they might be someday. Every generation maintained the effort. Every human leader supported it. It was a civilization-wide commitment to survival. The most disturbing part was how they hid it. Human psychology included something called strategic deception. They understood instinctively that showing weakness could invite attack. So they created the Sole Defense Fleet, documented it thoroughly, and let potential enemies see exactly what they wanted them to see. Meanwhile, the real military grew in secret. Hidden bases, concealed weapons, ships that looked like civilian transports but could transform into warships. They weaponized their entire solar system and made it look peaceful. They're natural spies, Liz realized. Natural warriors. But they genuinely want peace. How strange. Across the station in Krell hegemony territory, Admiral Thexmore was having a very different reaction to the intelligence reports. We mobilize everything, he told the hegemon via secure transmission. Every fleet. Every ally. We gather our forces and crush the humans before they become a bigger threat. The hegemon was old, even for a Krell. His armor had dulled with age, but his mind remained sharp. You lost 3 battle groups, Thexmore. How many do you think it will take to win? 17 armadas, Thexmore said immediately. Our full military strength. We hit them hard and fast. We don't give them time to mobilize their forces. According to intelligence, they have 47 fleets totaling over 100,000 ships. What makes you think 17 armadas will be enough? Because we have no choice. Thexmore's voice rose. If we don't act now, they'll grow stronger. They're already more powerful than us. Every day we wait makes them more dangerous. We strike now while we still can. The hegemon was quiet for a long moment. Very well. Mobilize the armadas. But Thexmore, understand this. If you fail again, don't bother coming back. The transmission ended. Thexmore immediately began sending orders. Across Krell space, ships prepared for war. The largest military mobilization in Krell history was beginning. Ambassador Chen received the intelligence reports about Krell movements while having tea in her quarters. She read them calmly, then sent a message to Earth. A simple status update. The Krell are mobilizing. Recommend activation of forward defense protocols. The response came 6 hours later. 2 words. Already active. Chen smiled slightly. Of course, Earth was ready. They were always ready. That was the whole point. She requested another meeting with the Galactic Council. This time she didn't ask permission. She simply informed them she was coming and expected them to be there. The tone shift was noticeable. Humans weren't supplicants anymore. The council chamber was full when she arrived. Every representative was present. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut. The Krell hegemony is mobilizing for war, Chen announced without preamble. 17 armadas are gathering at the border of their territory. Intelligence suggests they plan to attack human space within 3 weeks. Surely there's been a misunderstanding, someone said weakly. There's no misunderstanding, Chen replied. The Krell are humiliated. They can't accept that a younger species defeated them, so they're going to try again, this time with overwhelming force. Thexmore stood up in his seat. He was present via hologram, broadcasting from his flagship. You brought this on yourselves. You deceived the Council. You threatened galactic stability. We're simply restoring order. By attacking a peaceful species? Liz challenged. By starting a war that will kill millions? By eliminating a threat, Thexmore corrected. The humans are too dangerous to leave unchecked. Better we deal with them now than wait until they decide to conquer the galaxy. Chen laughed. It wasn't a pleasant sound. You still don't understand. We don't want to conquer anyone. But since you've decided to attack us again, let me tell you what's going to happen. She gestured and a new holographic display appeared. It showed human space but with new details. Fleets positioned at strategic points, defense networks spanning multiple systems, supply lines stretching across vast distances. The Sole Defense Fleet guards our home system, Chen explained. But we have 46 other fleets. 3rd Fleet is already moving to intercept your forces. 5th Fleet is positioning as backup. 10th Fleet is securing our supply routes. The others are maintaining defensive positions. You can't possibly move fleets that quickly, Thexmore objected. We've been moving them since your first attack, Chen said. Did you think we wouldn't notice your military buildup? We've been tracking your ships for weeks. We know exactly where your 17 armadas are gathering. We know their strength, their commanders, even their planned attack routes. The council members looked at each other nervously. Human intelligence capabilities were apparently as good as their military. This is your last warning, Admiral Thexmore, Chen said. Her voice was cold now, all diplomatic pleasantness gone. Turn your ships around. Stand down your forces. Accept peace. Because if you attack us again, we won't be merciful. Last time, Admiral Kawasaki let your ship survive because you were just following orders. This time, you're starting a war with full knowledge of what we can do. This time, we'll treat it as the existential threat it is. You're threatening the entire Krell hegemony? Thexmore's voice was incredulous. I'm warning you, Chen corrected. There's a difference. Humanity has no desire to destroy the Krell. But we will defend ourselves, and our defensive doctrine is very simple. If you try to kill us, we'll make absolutely certain you can't try again. Is that a threat of genocide? Someone asked, shocked. It's a statement of capability, Chen replied. We won't exterminate the Krell, but we will dismantle their military completely. We'll occupy their shipyards. We'll establish monitoring stations in their territory. We'll make sure they can't threaten anyone for at least a generation. That's the price of attacking humanity twice. Liz spoke up. Ambassador Chen, the Verdant Accord wishes to go on record as opposing this conflict. We believe both sides should stand down and negotiate. We're happy to negotiate, Chen said. We've been trying to negotiate since we arrived. But we won't negotiate with a fleet pointed at our heads. The Krell need to choose peace or war. They can't have both. Thexmore's hologram flickered. You're bluffing. You're trying to scare us into backing down. Chen smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We don't bluff. When we tell you something, we mean it. When we say we have 47 fleets, we have them. When we say we'll defend ourselves, we will. And when we say that attacking us again will cost you everything, you should believe us. She turned to address the full council. Humanity wants peace. We want trade, cultural exchange, friendship. But we prepared for war because we knew someone like the Krell existed. Someone who sees negotiation as weakness. Someone who mistakes patience for cowardice. We gave the Krell a chance to walk away. They chose to double down. What happens next is their responsibility. The meeting ended shortly after. Chen returned to her quarters and sent another message to Earth. The 3 months had passed since Ambassador Chen's warning. The Krell hegemony ignored every diplomatic attempt at peace. 17 armadas gathered at the border of human space, the largest military force ever assembled in Council history. Over 4,000 warships carrying enough firepower to sterilize planets. Admiral Thexmore stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Vengeance Unending. His previous ship had been damaged in the first battle and was still under repair. This vessel was larger, more powerful, and carried his renewed determination. Today we restore Krell honor, he announced to his fleet. Today we show the galaxy that the hegemony does not accept defeat. The humans will learn what happens when they challenge us. The armadas jumped to FTL, heading toward the Sol system. The plan was simple. Bypass human defenses, strike directly at Earth, force immediate surrender. No more fighting the entire human military. Cut off the head and the body dies. They never made it to Sol. The Krell fleet dropped out of FTL 40 light-years from Earth, in a system humans called New Horizons. It was supposed to be empty. According to all intelligence, it was uninhabited, just another stop on the route to Sol. It wasn't empty. The Krell sensors screamed warnings. Ships everywhere, hundreds of them. No, thousands. Human vessels in perfect formation waiting. They had known exactly where the Krell would emerge from FTL. How? Thexmore whispered. How did they know? Admiral, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer said. Admiral Kawasaki appeared on the view screen. He looked the same as before, calm and professional. Admiral Thexmore, we've been expecting you. Your fleet will stand down and prepare to be boarded. Never, Thexmore shouted. We have 4,000 ships. You can't possibly have enough forces here to stop us. Actually, we brought 6 fleets to meet you, Kawasaki said. That's approximately 18,000 ships. We could have brought more, but this seemed sufficient. You're outnumbered 4-1, exactly the odds you used against us in our first encounter. Seems fair. The tactical display confirmed it. Human ships surrounded the Krell formation in a massive sphere. Escape was impossible. Fighting was suicide. You were 40 light years from our home, Kawasaki continued. Did you really think we wouldn't have defenses out here? Did you think we only protected Seoul? We have sensors, bases, and fleets stationed throughout this entire region of space. You couldn't sneak up on us if you tried. Thexmore looked at his tactical officer. Can we fight our way out? The officer shook his head. Negative, sir. Even if we win, we'd lose 80% of our forces. And that's assuming the humans don't have reinforcements nearby. We have reinforcements, Kawasaki said, as if reading their thoughts. 8 more fleets within 6 hours' travel. If you fight, you'll die. All of you. This time we're not offering prison. This time you came here knowing exactly what you were doing. This is war, not a border skirmish. Thexmore felt everything crumbling. His plan, his honor, his fleet. The Krell hegemony had bet everything on this attack, and they lost before firing a single shot. I offer you one chance, Kawasaki said. Contact your hegemon. Arrange a formal surrender. We'll negotiate terms that allow the Krell people to continue existing as a sovereign nation. But your military will be severely restricted. Your expansionist policies will end. You'll accept council oversight for at least 50 years. The hegemon will never agree, Thexmore said. Then you'll all die here, and we'll move on to Krell territory anyway. Except then we'll be angry and our terms will be much harsher. Choose quickly, Admiral. I'm not patient. The channel stayed open. Thexmore knew he had no choice. He sent a message to the hegemon explaining the situation. The response took 20 minutes. The hegemon's face appeared on a private channel. He looked old and tired. Surrender, Thexmore. Negotiate the best terms you can. The Krell hegemony will survive this, but our time as a military power is over. Sir, You were right that the humans were dangerous. The hegemon interrupted. You were wrong that we could defeat them. Sometimes, Admiral, wisdom means knowing when you've lost. The transmission ended. Thexmore turned to face Kawasaki's image on the screen. The Krell hegemony agrees to negotiate surrender terms. What happened next took weeks. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions. Ambassadors traveled between human and Krell space. Treaties were drafted, argued over, and revised. Ambassador Chen led the human negotiation team. She was firm but not cruel. The terms she demanded were harsh but not impossible. The Krell military would be reduced to defensive forces only. Their shipyards would be monitored. They would pay reparations, though spread over 50 years to avoid economic collapse. Most importantly, they would sign a non-aggression pact with every council member. You're being too generous, Thexmore said during one negotiation session. He was no longer an admiral. The hegemon had stripped his rank. Now he was just another Krell witnessing his species' humiliation. We're being fair, Chen replied. We don't want to destroy the Krell. We just want to make sure you can't threaten anyone again. Not us, not anyone. You've won completely, Thexmore said bitterly. You're now the most powerful military force in the galaxy. You could demand anything. You could make us slaves. Chen shook her head. That's not who we are. Yes, we have the power to conquer. But we don't want to. We never did. We built our military to protect ourselves, not to rule others. Then why so many ships? Why such overwhelming force? Because we learned from history, Chen explained. On Earth, nations that seemed weak got invaded. Nations that seemed strong had peace. So we chose to be strong, strong enough that no one would dare attack us. Strong enough that we'd never have to use that strength. It's called deterrence, another human negotiator added. We prepared for the worst so we could hope for the best. The final treaty was signed on a neutral space station. Representatives from every council member attended. The Krell hegemon himself came, a first in generations. He looked diminished somehow, less impressive than his reputation suggested. Ambassador Liss of the Verdant Accord approached Chen after the ceremony. You handled this well, Liss said. You could have been vindictive. Many species would have been after being attacked twice. Vindictiveness doesn't build lasting peace, Chen replied. The Krell need to feel like they're being treated fairly, even in defeat. Otherwise, they'll just rebuild and try again in a few generations. Is that another human concept? Chen smiled. It's called enlightened self-interest. We benefit more from having the Krell as reluctant partners than as permanent enemies. Liss's vines rustled in what might have been laughter. Your species is fascinating. So warlike yet so diplomatic. So powerful yet so restrained. I'm glad you came to us in peace. So are we, Chen said. though I wish it hadn't taken 2 wars to establish that. Over the following months, the relationship between humanity and the Galactic Council transformed. The Verdant Accord proposed a formal alliance with Earth. Other species followed. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchange programs began. Human art, music, and literature spread across the galaxy. The human military remained large and visible, but now it served a different purpose. Human ships patrolled alongside Verdant Accord vessels, protecting trade routes from pirates. Human Marines trained Council security forces in combat tactics. Human engineers helped upgrade defensive systems for smaller species who couldn't afford their own militaries. Slowly, humanity became integrated into galactic society. Not as conquerors, not as overlords, as partners. Admiral Kawasaki retired after the Krell surrender. He gave a speech at his retirement ceremony that became famous across the galaxy. "We built the largest military in known space," he said. "We prepared for 200 years. We turned our solar system into a fortress, and when enemies came, we defeated them decisively. But that was never the goal. The goal was always peace. We built weapons so we'd never have to use them. We prepared for war so we could have peace. That's the human way." Ambassador Chen attended the ceremony. Afterward, she found herself standing with Ambassador Liss, watching human and alien crew members working together on the station docks. "Your admiral made an interesting point," Liss said. "You prepared for war to achieve peace. Most species do the opposite. They talk about peace while secretly preparing for war." "Maybe that's why it worked," Chen replied. "We were honest about our preparations. We never pretended to be harmless. We showed strength so no one would test us. And now you use that strength to protect others," Liss observed. "The pirates in the outer reaches have nearly disappeared since human patrols began. The consuming swarm at the galaxy's edge retreated when they detected human sensor networks. Your fleet is creating the most peaceful period in Council history." Chen nodded slowly. "Peace through strength. It's an old concept on Earth. Not everyone likes it. Some people think it's too militaristic, but it works." "The Krell learned that the hard way," Liss said. "The Krell learned that you can't bully someone who's stronger than you," Chen corrected. "Now they're learning they can benefit more from cooperation than from conquest. Give them a generation. They'll be good neighbors." A young Krell officer walked past wearing a Council security uniform. He saluted Chen respectfully. "She,